SpongeBob sometimes makes me cry. Don't laugh at me. It's
I just can't believe
it
you.
sometimes makes me cry. Like
Really?
Yes.
Da 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 da.
Welcome to the Ramble.
Episode 12.
Yeah, I know. Today's going to be about our 10 out of 10s emotional impact. So on our rating system, we have 5 categories: emotional impact, characters, plot, dialogue, and the wild card. So for TV and movies, that'd be cinematography. For books, be world building. Today, we're going over emotional impact.
Yeah, I'm going to include some 9.5s and up. Stuff that gets close to a 10. Just the most emotional movies of all time and the most emotional books of all time, shows of all time. What makes you cry? What makes you laugh hysterically? What makes you just want to go out and become a Viking? Just those kind of movies that get you inspired, emotional in some kind of way.
Yeah. I got my list here. I got a couple curveballs that's not exactly a movie or TV show or book, but I got to put them in there just to see what you think. But
are you putting like Magnas in there or Magma? Sorry, I don't know the name. The Mangas.
You got there. But I have, I think, one anime in there. But no, I got a couple other things we'll go over later.
Do you mind if we start on the sad route? Because I've got a question for you.
Okay, let's
side.
Let's go on the sad route. What do you think?
So first, I wanted to ask, when it comes to a sad, we'll say exclusively movies. When it comes to a sad movie, do you want to watch that really sad movie alone or with the bros? And if you'll notice, I didn't say with a girl because that's an impossibility for the both of us. So with the bros or alone, what do you think is the best way to view a terribly sad movie?
I guess case in point would probably be Silent Voice. I'd rather watch it alone. Because I watched it with you guys, and it diminished my own experience of the movie.
That's a good point. Yeah, you did show it to us, and I felt less sad than I think I would have if I watched that completely alone in the room with tissues. Yeah.
Well, also, you're not used to anime and its kind of style, where I am. So, like, it's the genre, the medium is jarring for you. It's not so for me.
And I'm getting there with some shows. I think I'm halfway there. I just need to watch a few more to get used to it.
Sure. But actually, that's on my list.
A Silent Voice?
A Silent Voice gets a 10 out of 10 emotional impact for me.
Wow. And that's a story about the deaf, the mute, or she's deaf, correct?
She's deaf, yeah.
And he bullies her at a young age.
The story, spoilers here for A Silent Voice, but it's about a little boy and bullies a little deaf girl and really traumatizes her enough that she has to leave school. And because of that, he is ostracized by everyone else in his grade and his school, even in the next school that he goes to. He's seen as the mean bully kid. And even though everyone else also kind of participated, he was the spearhead and the scapegoat. And he later comes across the deaf girl again and wants to find an apology. Or at least he doesn't think he deserves one. So it's a lot about depression, forgiveness, and suicide as well. Which, a movie that can make me like really feel for a kid who bullies the deaf girl. Like, what concept is it? Like, I didn't know that you could really go that route.
Is that one of the movies that is a tearjerker for you that makes you cry every time you see it?
I cried for that movie.
What other movies hit that level of, we're talking just on the sad level, not the other kinds of emotions, but just pure tears running out of your eyes? What movies strike you as that every time you watch it, you're just crying during the scene?
I don't have many. The only one I could really think of at this moment, that I'm sure it exists, that I forgot.
Yeah.
But Carousel, the musical.
Carousel, the musical?
Yeah.
So I'm not big into musicals. I don't even think I've heard of that. So what is that?
I mean, arguably, like the best music of any the second best music from a musical. First maybe being South Pacific, but I love Carousel the most.
And that's a tearjerker?
Oh yeah, I cried.
Wow.
I can make myself cry just singing the songs personally. Like,
That's a good musical then. Okay.
it's a simple but effective story with beautiful music.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, one actor that's surprisingly in, I think, the most emotional movies on average, Tom Hanks.
True.
Think about this. He's in Forrest Gump, and as much as that is just a fun movie to watch, it also has the emotional scene, if you remember, at the end of the movie with his son, and he asks, is he smart or is he? And you realize the whole time he was self-aware, where you didn't think, it's kind of an ignorance is bliss sort of thing. And at that moment, you realize he knew the entire time. And oh my God, I'm actually getting on the verge of tears just thinking about it. And also Saving Private Ryan, very emotional, just a great movie, but also emotional movie. And I think it has the hardest scene in cinema to watch. I can't think of a more emotional scene than when the U.S. soldier is getting stabbed by the German soldier. And slowly, as the other American soldiers walking up the steps and can't help out of just complete fear, most shattering scene ever. I can never get that out of my memory. And then obviously you have The Green Mile with Tom Hanks, another completely emotional, shattering movie and just a beauty. Mm-hmm. So do you think there's another actor or actress out there that has on par just the most emotional movies? Because those are all, I don't know if I'd put them 10 out of 10, but they're up there somewhere in the 9-something range.
I'm not sure I can think of another actor. I mean, I'm not really good with actors' names and keeping track of that, so like I didn't even think of Tom Hanks until you said it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, his more recent movies I haven't seen, like Sully and so forth, so I don't know recently what he's come out with, but especially World War II movies, a lot of those get me. And funny enough, I was thinking of my personal top 3 World War II movies. And you know what they are? They are Schindler's List, one of the most emotional movies ever. Saving Private Ryan, as mentioned. So you have your Holocaust, complete, depravity and just sad movie. You have, but also inspiring movie at the same time. So it's not just sadness. The ending's fantastic. Saving Private Ryan, a war movie, and then third is Jojo Rabbit, a comedy and satire about Nazis.
Really, Jojo Rabbit gets in your top 3
of World War II movies. It's in.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. Of World War II movies, it's unbelievably hilarious and emotional at the same time. And it's just a weird mix of them. And I don't know if you get the same feeling of do you prefer a certain type of emotion, like sadness, funny, action, or does it depend on the time? Like that
was actually going to be one of my questions to you.
Well, I stole it, so
yeah,
you have to answer it
first. All right. I think my favorite type of emotion to feel during a movie is hype and inspiration. It makes me want to cheer. Like makes me want to feel like I'm riding off to battle. That's my favorite. Honestly, you know what? Jack Sparrow gets up there, just the hype. He's so much fun.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What is your favorite genre for an emotional movie? What is the easiest to get you to that 10 out of 10 emotional impact?
Ooh, so it's a combo. If you can get me these two things, number one, if you can get me in that inspiring kind of battle hungry. Lord of the Rings, I'm basically describing. If you can get me...
That was top of the... yeah. Okay, it's second highest on my list. The first being Blues Brothers. But
no, Lord of the Rings is a 10 out of 10 emotional impact. To get me absolutely inspired and follow to battle, to Valhalla. I know it's not to Valhalla. Lord of the Rings.
That hurt me a little bit. I want you to clip that one.
I'm combining Lord of the Rings and Mad Max Fury Road because those are two epic action movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like to Valhalla, and then Lord of the Rings where you're just riding for Rohanna and you have Gandalf coming over it's just so amazing. And if you can combine that with a scene where you bow to no one.
Oh. Yeah, that's inspiration, and that's not really sadness though. That's a
recognition. It's something like that parallel structure, that always gets me. A parallel structure in a movie or something like Lord of the Rings where they're leaving the Shire, then at the very end, they come back to the Shire and sending off, and you bow to no one. Just the whole complete story of showing what you've learned from the journey that gets me. And I don't know if that's an exactly precise thing I'm explaining, but
Oh no, I love that too. And now after all this time reading the book, realizing that was a missed opportunity from the movie. The book did that parallel structure a little bit better of, the hobbits coming back to the Shire and basically saving their home themselves without any other help, and just seeing how far they've grown and how much of leaders and warriors they are among their own people. When among the Rohirrans and, all them and in Gondor, they're not the strongest, they're not the bravest, but compared to where they were, leagues different. So I love that parallel structure too. That's why I love the ending of the book quite a bit more, except for the you bow to no one scene.
From my understanding, though, the books are perfect as they are. The movies are perfect as they are. They're their own things. Let's not diss them.
Yeah. But is tears your test for a 10 out of 10 emotional score?
Is tears?
Tears, like if you cried.
Oh, I was thinking TIER, like tier list. Tears as in coming out of my eyes.
Yeah.
Not always.
Okay.
So tears definitely gets it up. So, for example, one of those emotional impact movies, I have it as a 9.4, but still it's up there with the rest, is Lion. Mm-hmm. We watched Lion. It's a story about this kid who was adopted by an Australian family, and he was originally from Calcutta in India, and he got lost when he was 5 years old. And it's a story of finding his birth mother again when he was much older, because he got lost when he was 5, comes back to his birth mother in his 20s. And the movie portrayed that. I'll watch those YouTube clips every time and just tears streaming down my face of just the kid actor in that was fantastic. Him just saying, Grogu, Grogu. Like, even that gets me. The ending's beautiful. So tears always gets it. Like, if it's tears, it's an automatic 9+. If you can get me to cry. But there's different emotions, right? So there's the emotion of Mad Max Fury Road, where not a single tear drops, but a lot of arms are pumping in the air, going, yes, Valhalla. That's what I was mentioning earlier. And I think you'd agree, that's like an epic action movie. Like, what kind of action movies get that emotional 9.5, 10 for you? Because it's just so epic.
The Raid. The first Raid movie, that gets I was on the edge of my seat the entire movie. And just, it's I think arguably the best action in any movie I've seen. Maybe the Raid 2. Maybe that competes with it. But
you showed me the Raid 2, but you didn't show me the Raid 1. And Raid 2 was pretty freaking awesome.
A lot of people say the Raid 2 is better, and in creative fight scenes, maybe so. But as a movie and story, Raid 2 tries to be a more standard story, like an actual movie. The Raid 1 is an experience. It's a roller coaster. There's no complicated plot. It is like you start in a building, they're trying to leave. That's it. That's the whole movie.
Right. You're not going to get 10 out of 10 characters, not at all, but you're going to get that emotional impacts because you're going to be there the whole movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, characters are not poorly done.
Oh,
like the main character is the one that matters, and it's just done so simply. Spoilers for the movie. It's like the first, 10 seconds of the movie. It's literally,
that's not a spoiler. Then go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like literally opening scene of the main character. They just show an image of his wife and his pregnant wife, and him in his closet doing workouts and doing like exercise and trying not to wake her. So he's put himself into a closet to work out, to train. He's doing sit-ups, he's punching a bag, he's doing pull-ups, all that stuff. And then walks out and sees his pregnant wife, and he goes off on the mission. That's all you need to know. This awesome badass man has a beautiful wife and a child on the way. He has something to go home to. He has something that he could lose. That's all you need.
Yep.
That's all I need.
Kind of John Wick-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Which John Wick, by the way, I only saw the first one. It doesn't get that 10 out of 10, that even 9. It's a great, fun movie.
It's a great, fun movie.
I don't think it gets that level of we're talking the greatest of all time.
No.
At least the first one, because I don't know about the rest. Haven't seen them yet. Do any of
They
those reach that level?
on emotional impact, no. Action though, it's up there.
Gotcha. It's just a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah, no. So I don't think any of the movies like degrade in quality really.
Okay.
They kind of go up, but they get more ridiculous, and that's more fun.
That is fun. And I won't mention, because we had a whole podcast in this last week, but Everything Everywhere at Once is my 10 out of 10 emotional impact for a lot of reasons, but we'll just put that aside.
Fair enough.
This is another category of movies, though, on its own. Pixar movies.
That's a whole
That's
studio and factory. Like I have to believe on a certain level that Pixar is fueled. Like there's somebody there that is fueled by the tears of young children.
they just crank out tears.
Yeah, no, that's they don't make movies to make money. They make movies to make tears, and that's how they subsist.
Well, I think we'll agree on this. What's the most emotional Pixar movie of all time?
I mean, WALL-E.
Yeah.
Is WALL-E Pixar?
Yeah.
Okay,
Wally's
good.
Wait, let me double check so people don't. Wally is Pixar.
I don't know if it's Disney or Disney Pixar.
Oh, it is Walt Disney Pixar Animation Studios and released by Walt Disney Pictures. So yeah.
Okay, because
All right.
there are
Yeah.
Disney, then there's Pixar,
Yeah.
and then there's also Disney Pixar.
And then there's
So-
DreamWorks. So
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They're having a good time.
Wall-E is the most emotional Pixar movie ever.
Yeah.
It is so beautifully done. It has a great message.
I didn't even put that on my list, but you're right.
It's so relatable, and it's one of the hot take, but it's one of the best stories ever told. I love it.
It's such a simple love story, but just done so well. Unironically, I give the dialogue like 9.5.
Oh, it's above a 9 for sure.
Like, and they say literally Eva and Wally, but how they communicate is so perfectly understood throughout
Yep.
the entire movie. There's no confusion. With the emphasis of the words and facial expressions, they're able to get across the entire. Each character is able to make themselves understood to the audience perfectly well, which brilliant.
The inflection, the cadence of your voice comes across so well. And the lack of dialogue is dialogue. I will stay by that.
Yeah.
If there's a scene where there's no dialogue happening and you're just viscerally involved in the scene, and that lack of, you're on Earth with Wall-E, and there's just nothingness. There's no dialogue for a lot of those scenes.
Well, for me, I count dialogue as basically the characters communicating.
Yes.
And however that may be.
Got it.
Whatever they're communicating, that's kind of part of the dialogue. Because if you read the script, if you're reading a script for dialogue in a movie, they will have in there on what you're, like in parentheses, look off in the sunset. Like imagine you're thinking that, so the actor has to get across a certain point from their script. It's still in the script, but they're not saying words. They're acting out their line
Exactly.
effectively. So I'll count that stuff as dialogue.
Exactly. And I haven't seen every Pixar movie, so this is another one that comes with as the most emotional for me. I'll name two. One, I'll say this one first. The first 10 minutes of Up.
Yeah, that's an easy win. That's low hanging fruit,
Yeah.
but so true.
The movie as a whole, though, doesn't get the 9 or 10 because the rest of the movies, it's fun, but that first 10 minutes is a 10 out of 10 right there. But also, have you seen Coco?
I have not actually.
Oh,
I really should.
If you want a tearjerker, Coco, I think you'll really appreciate it too because of the music. And you just watch it. And for those of you out there, if you haven't seen Coco, it's up there in some of the most emotional movies I've seen. The story is phenomenal and it's very relatable. But Pixar movies, that's a category of its own. DreamWorks category. DreamWorks, do they have emotional movies? How to Train Your Dragon, I haven't seen.
It's fun. It's great.
Okay.
10 out of 10 emotion? No.
No? Okay.
But it's arguably one of the best DreamWorks movies.
Got it.
It's just not that type of movie. They're not trying to go for tearjerkers.
Got it. Okay.
Or epic hype, actually. I don't know. It's just not that extreme.
Are
in
there
that way.
any more serious? Serious is the wrong word. Are there any more classic movies / not your epic battles, not your tearjerkers, but just your classic movies of storytelling. If you can think back to like 50s, 60s, anything there that is super emotional to you.
Oh, I mean, 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is in my top 3 movies of all time. I think it's my third favorite movie.
It's phenomenal. What kind of emotion does that elicit, though?
Complex set of ones. I cared for every single character deeply. Like I was interested in every single one and wanted to know where they're getting at. So many of the scenes are about men standing up for their convictions and fighting for truth and what they believe. And, oh, God. And the entire time you don't know a single person's name.
And it's timeless. The movie's timeless. You've said this in the past because we watched a movie together, and I can't agree more with you. We have to rewatch it.
I would love to rewatch it.
It's been a while.
It gets a 10 out of 10 out of every single score. Emotional impact, characters,
Whoa.
plot, dialogue, cinematography, everything.
So your other top 2 movies also get 10s across the board?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Blues Brothers, 10 out of 10s across the board. I stand by it. I will hold to it forever. It is the best movie ever made. Then Lord of the Rings trilogy. Then 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
But those are all 10s across the board.
Got it.
But actually, I wanted to ask you some interesting stuff. Like, have you ever, like, what's a story that you watched or read or heard, whatever?
Oh, we haven't talked about books enough. Yeah, go ahead.
I know. Which one has, like, inspired you to change your life in any kind of way?
Ooh,
I don't know.
that's a deep question.
The big questions here on Two to Ramble.
To change my life. Now, I wish I had a whole... I wish... See, these questions we ask are on the spot of we don't tell each other what we're going to ask, and we want it to be authentic. I wish that's one of the ones you would have told me, because I want to give an essay response to this, but I'm going to put Lord of the Rings, obviously, because that's always been there for me, and it's really that nostalgic feeling, but it's something that I want to just put in the back burner. But change my life. A lot of it, the first thing I want to mention is Kaladin from Stormlight Archives.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't read Stormlight Archives, like, Kaladin is such an inspirational character, and the way Brandon Sanderson writes depression in in Stormlight Archives, in Kaladin's point of view, is so real, and it's so emotionally pulling, and you feel it. You feel it and you understand it, and it just shows you someone that gets hit down and down and down and down again. Their face keeps getting shoved down in dirt, and him coming out of that, and him still coming out of it, but his problems still aren't fixed, even when externally things do get better.
That's the best interpretation. It's the best interpretation of actual clinical depression that I have read
ever.
Mainly due to that fact that you see some characters that are sad and depressed because of something that's happened to them, and they're clearly, like, traumatized. Kaladin is a character who, yes, he's been traumatized, but that's not why he's depressed. In all honesty, like, those kind of things happening to him inspire him to help others. Like, that, the trauma to him is not what really makes him depressed. It's his own mind. In his own mind, it happened even when he was a child, and it kept going on. And it's the times of peace. It's the times of solitude and ease. When there's not a lot going on. When there's not the end of the world, or there's not some great challenge for him. That's when his depression is worse. That when he's ground in the dirt, it's not as bad for him. And so, a great interpretation. But for depression, personally,
it's perfect. It's a perfect representation of depression, I think.
I think A Silent Voice does it equally or as well.
Awesome. And I'm gonna have to rewatch Silent Voice when I get into more anime as well. But I also want to say this is something that I don't think other people will answer this. It hit me at home because this movie came out. Oh, okay. I watched it when COVID was happening, like the height of COVID. And I got into, I was in the stock market and I was gambling a lot. We have a poker group, but I watched Uncut Gems. Which, have you watched Uncut Gems?
I still haven't. You've talked about it a lot, but I have not seen it yet.
It's with Adam Sandler, and the entire movie, the point of it is just constant anxiety, which is why it gets a high emotional impact. It's not like a fun movie to watch. Like, you're not going to sit back and relax. You're not going to laugh. You're not going to be inspired to. It's complete anxiety, and the constant noises and focus on this guy who is a gambling addict gets worse and worse, and it doesn't stop. And the end of the movie is a relief. And that had an impact on me of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't gamble as much. So that had another impact that comes to mind. And yeah, I don't know why that's the second thing that came to mind when you asked that question. I guess that says a lot about me.
Well, on a slightly parallel note,
Yeah.
what story or movie or what story inspired you the most to write your own?
Oh, now that's a great question, because I'm currently writing a story. It'll be out in 2048.
That's if you're lucky.
That's if I'm lucky. Oh, and it will be self-published.
You still on rewriting chapter 2, or you finally
We made
worked
it to
past
4.
Oh, good for you.
What's inspired me to write the most is a combination. Honestly, one of the OGs was Percy Jackson.
Okay.
Because Percy Jackson, it's just a really fun, like YA, young adult, got me into loving stories. Your Percy Jackson, your Hunger Games. Well, Percy Jackson was more middle grade, but then like the Heroes of Olympus series, I guess more YA. But Hunger Games, Maze Runner, and these aren't like Maze Runner, Hunger. They're not like 10 out of 10. They're just really great books that were fun and got me to love reading and develop more. But I think
they're great for middle school, early high school. They're great.
Yes.
And they're good enough that like even people who are older can actually enjoy them.
Yeah. That's what got me, because I loved reading that YA, like hero's journey type thing of Percy, of Maze Runner, anything, even Divergent I read. And those kind of stories where there's the teen who's my age, who has secret superpowers. I just remember just loving that as a teen and loving that as a kid. That just got me going. I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to school. These people don't know I'm a superhero. Yeah, everyone has those thoughts, and it's just, yeah, that for sure started me into really wanting to write a story. Then just over time of reading more, being like, oh, this would be fun.
I think for myself, one of the books that kind of struck me when I was younger was Animal Farm.
Animal Farm, yes.
It's one I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
That one really spoke to me when I was in middle school, which, yeah, a little young for that one, but
Yeah, it's like, yeah, my favorite as a child was, what's that really, talk about emotional stories. You couldn't even finish a book.
Yeah.
Talk about that right now, because oh my God, what's the book's name?
I have finished the book.
You have, but you had to set it down.
When I was much younger, I have technically went all the way through it.
What's the
But
book?
then it's been a long time. Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Here, I'll take a second. I actually bought at the nice old bookstore.
Oh, show us, please. And so Brave New World, you had me read the first 3 chapters or so, and it's just one of those. Oh, that is a nice cover. Wow, where'd you get that?
I got that a secondhand old bookstore out in DC.
Very cool. Okay.
And yeah, the first chapter, I was actually thinking this when you talked about anxiety.
Yeah.
The first chapter of Brave New World and how it's structured, it makes your heart beat faster and faster and faster.
Ooh.
How they structure the 3 different POVs in the first chapter on how POV each time they get a couple paragraphs to a page and sometimes multiple pages. And then as it's going close to the end, each POV gets less and less to the end. It's switching POVs every line.
Ooh.
Where it's just the switch. It's jarring. And then the subject matter of basically, I don't know rules of YouTube, because I know but uncomfortable adult things with children and how the society pushes it is incredibly uncomfortable, and just I couldn't get past the first chapter in one sitting. I had to put it down and come back to it.
Yeah.
But oh god, talk about emotional.
Yeah,
like,
you had me read up
anxiety,
to that
God.
point where you stopped as well. And wow, it gets you.
Yeah,
It really does
so
get you.
very uncomfortable.
Now, here's an interesting question. Since emotions can be a lot of things, as people know, and as we've shown. Oh, so is it a sad emotion? Is it an inspiring emotion? Is it a inspirational? Whatever it is. Is it anxiety-full? All these get you to elicit a certain emotion. Is there an emotion that comes when you watch a movie so bad? Is hate an emotion? Is when you
Fair
hate
enough.
something so much, can a movie you really dislike mean it's high on the emotional list? It's something I thought about, and I don't know if you feel a certain way about this.
I guess so. I've never felt as much hate as I have watching a movie of The Rise of Skywalker.
So it's a 10 out of 10 emotional impact.
I guess so. I was just angry.
Yeah.
I think that is the movie that really made me so pessimistic about Hollywood. And any time I heard that something I really liked was being adapted to a movie, I just think, I hope it just doesn't suck. Just my first initial impact is going, maybe it'll push more people to watch the original. That's my first thought of any new adaptation. It made me feel just so sad about the corporatization of these franchises.
And you get that everywhere. Fast and Furious. Even The Matrix just came out with the fourth Matrix.
Sure, but there's something different about like a series that from the beginning is kind of corporatized and doesn't have started in Hollywood, made just for entertaining. There's something about that where there's then taking something that is beloved and special for a lot of people and is very unique, and then just bastardizing it.
But I do think intent's a big thing with the emotional impact. Like for Rise of Skywalker, their intent wasn't to make you hate it.
No.
So
no,
I think
that's fair.
That's where it fails, where I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because I hate the movie and they're not trying to make me hate the movie. So that's why it doesn't get the high score for me. But it's still, at least it makes you feel something. At least it's different than you walking out and just feeling vapid about it, right? At least
yeah.
At least they chose a side.
Like my most tepid, like, I felt nothing movie is, I guess there's others, but if we're in the superhero genre, then Justice League. It's one of those movies I forgot.
Yes.
I immediately forgot it as I walked out of the theater.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's one of those movies I'm
Yeah.
like, I guess I just watched a movie.
Yep.
All right. But,
and I do want to say, too, is to get some shows in here as well. Mm-hmm. I think you'll agree with this. Full Metal Alchemist has just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal show, phenomenal anime.
I don't know if it's my favorite TV show of all time, but it's that or number 2.
Yeah. And personally for me, it's going to sound ridiculous, but SpongeBob sometimes makes me cry. Don't laugh at me. It's
I just can't believe
it sometimes makes me cry. Like,
really?
Yes. If you look back, it's a lot of nostalgia. It's also when I'm the pizza episode where they're just delivering a Krusty Krab pizza. You haven't watched SpongeBob, so I'll explain this real quick. But it's on this journey of SpongeBob's the all happy-go-lucky, we're going to deliver this pizza to a guy. He's way out of the way. They have to go through storms and all this, and it's a long journey to deliver this pizza. And you have Squidward, who's the straight man, the straight man and the funny guy, and he's doesn't give SpongeBob anything. He's straight, stone-faced all the time and has had enough, and he's doing this because he's working a 9-to-5 job. He hates his life, and he's depressed. And they go on this journey, and the whole time SpongeBob's bugging Squidward on his nerves, but he still has this tenacity to get the pizza to the guy. And they finally get there, give the pizza to him, and the guy opens the door and goes, "You didn't bring kelp juice? No kelp juice? You're the worst guy." And he basically chews out SpongeBob and slams the door. SpongeBob starts crying and crying, and Squidward for the first time. Then using, his personality, he opens up the door, chews out the guy, throws the pizza in his face, closes the door. SpongeBob, by the way, is crying and doesn't see any of this, throws the pizza in the face, goes over to SpongeBob and says, "Hey," SpongeBob's like, "What happened?" And Squidward just goes, he ate he ended up liking it and ate it, and then Squidward kind of just showed that love for SpongeBob. And that's just one example of it's such a cute little story, and I love it, and it just makes me tear up. I don't know why.
Made me think of I have two oddballs on my list that I was thinking about on emotional impact.
Yeah.
And for me, nostalgia 10 out of 10.
Oh, give me it.
Is Iron Man.
Oh.
I have so many memories connected to that movie.
Let's talk pure nostalgia. Go. Iron Man, yeah.
I remember my dad buying me the DVD, and it's a special one where the sleeve comes off, which has the Iron Man suit, and underneath is just Tony Stark with the arc reactor still showing. I remember constantly going into the guest bedroom with the TV and playing that every chance I get. I rewatched awesome. That movie so many times.
That's
to
so
a
cool.
ridiculous degree. And so that movie just has a special place for me. Nostalgia 10, when I want to get it's emotional for me. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
What else gets that emotional 10 out of 10 pure nostalgia? Maybe this will rejog your memory a bit. Some 80s movies. Honestly, Ferris Bueller.
I don't have much of a nostalgia connection to it. I really love the movie. It's great, but I don't have a nostalgia connection to it. Maybe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's a pure nostalgia.
See, nostalgia is so subjective because I didn't watch any of that growing up. So you saying that is laughable. Just like my SpongeBob was laughable to you, I'm not taking you seriously with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I loved it. It was great. But my last curveball one is actually a song.
A song?
Yeah, because it's used in different shows. And media, it's used frequently enough, but I'm gonna butcher the name. But Dvorak, I said it wrong. But Symphony Number 9 from the New World is such an epic song that it inspires me.
So Symphony Number 9 from the New World.
To describe the scene from the music itself. Yeah. Imagine a marching army, who's cresting over a hill, and someone from the back lines falls down, shot down, what have you, and is left behind from the marching army as they go over the hill, and he can hear the screams, sounds of his fellow soldiers in the battle, and it just starts up. He stands up. And he crests back over the hill with his sword held high, seeing his brothers in arms almost wasted, and he charges down to the enemy alone to face the enemy. And he actually turns the tide of battle, saves a buddy of his, and collects a brother in arm one by one as they push the enemy back. That's, for me, that song. It's the story of standing up and actually conquering unthinkable odds.
Wow.
I think I first heard it when watching One Piece.
Episode number 782 or something.
Yeah, it's actually in the scene where Luffy finally beats Crocodile. And it's so epic.
Spoiler alert. You know what? If I'm thinking some emotional scenes of all time, Interstellar, I have to mention real quick. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Interstellar?
I have not.
Oh, God. One of the most emotional of all time. Any other scenes that just pop up to you, I'm saying scene comes up, you cry every time. Is there something that hits you? Like that Lord of the Rings, you bow to no one.
That's up there. I think that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
From 12 Angry Men, the scene where one of the jurors berates another juror for not standing up for his own beliefs, and the fact that he's going along with the crowd just so he can go home, and tells him vote guilty if you believe he's guilty, or vote not guilty because you believe he's not guilty. Don't you have have a spine, stand up for what you believe in, vote because you think it's right, not because you want to go home.
Oh.
It's so good.
Oh.
Man, that movie's perfect.
Man.
But yeah, those are. I have so many like books on my list I didn't get to.
Name some highlights.
Oh, Hyperion, Small Gods, The Gathering Storm from Wheel of Time. Actually, I have like four.
Four from Wheel of Time.
Four from Wheel of Time that have like 9 8s, 9 5s, 10s. Like
Nice.
it's up there. Also Oathbringer from Stormlight Archives series. Of course, Small Gods and Going Postal from a Discworld, and Hyperion from, Hyperion. There's no other reference, but
man, yeah, a lot of emotional 10 out of 10s, 9.5 out of 10s, and I want to see if maybe our viewers are more emotionally invested with these new lights we got. You see this purple light behind me? Blue light behind you. We'd even mention it, but it's an upgrade.
Yeah, we're trying to make it look a little better. Let us know what you think of the new studio look with all the lights and everything, and let us know what made you cry, what made you want to charge into battle from reading or watching a movie, and let us know. Maybe we'll try and watch one of those together pretty soon. All right, well, we'll see you next week on Monday. Leave a like down below, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.